Hello, how are you doing this morning? I hope that you guys doing well. Yeah, finally we jumped into the early Christian thought, thinkers, philosophers, apologists, whatever we can call them, but they led they contributed the Christian doctrines and theology, to form the Christianity. So they are really important, to in order to see the philosophy and their thinking and their thought, and we already reviewed the pre-Socratic philosophers, and then yeah, Asian philosophers, and then Hellenistic philosophers, and then Roman philosophers. Finally, we came to early Christian philosophers and thinkers. Pretty exciting, but still we need to remember a lot of things because already based on the previous philosophical influence, and based on the influence they kind of built up their theology and doctrines, because they used a lot of people, a lot of thinkers and kind of creative thinkers using the philosophies, and especially the Neoplatonism, and then try to form the new things. They are really creative and they are really smart people, but there's a challenge for the Christian thinkers. So from today, we're gonna talk about the early Christian thinkers. So today we're not gonna jump on. There's a lot of things. Today we're gonna see what was going on in the early Christian period, and then who were the thinkers in the beginning, and then what's the next, and what is the next. So we're gonna take 3 classes for Christian thought in early period of Christianity. So we're gonna talk about more Bible stuff, and we're gonna talk about kind of go back to philosophy. I don't know how much you guys remember. I tried to bring it back up, and then maybe a little bit quick review, and then try to understand what was going on. Today, we're gonna really focus on the early apostolic fathers, and they are kind of discipled by the apostles. Like, do you know the 12 apostles from Matthew, Peter's, John's, like them, and they are chosen by Jesus Christ, but the Iscariot Judah, and then he took his life, and then eliminated from the apostolic groups, and then was Paul. Apostle Paul kind of selected and then joined in the group, right? That's why apostolic father means that was like Peter discipled some people, and John discipled some people like this, and then we're gonna see who they are, what they did for the Christianity. So before we start, and they through them can see how the theology is kind of developing from the beginning stage, and then we can see how the gospel spread over the nation to nations. Now, just think about the gospel in the Antioch, in the Jerusalem's Antioch, and scattered around the Mediterranean area and North Africa to all the minor Asia through Paul, right? So and already they lived a different place, different area, and then already gospel is spread all over around the area. And right now Turkey and Tunisia and North Africa countries already, Syria and other places, right? So their life and then you can see how already how the gospel already spread over the region. Usually, a lot of people agree that they don't work with like a philosophical philosophy, and rather than the philosophy theology, a little bit more than theology, than more theology than the philosophy. So our textbook author, and he said about the philosophical theology kind of makes sense, but still we cannot erase the philosophy part, but still they are really focused on the theology part, but still we couldn't say the philosophical theology, right? So they didn't usually use the terminology that the popular philosophy at the time, but still they try to defend and testify to the deity of Christ and then his incarnations, right? Some people, we're gonna later we're gonna see them who they are, but who they were, and some people challenge the Jesus Christ deity. We believe that nowadays we believe that Jesus Christ is holy, divine and holy human. He's God and human at the same time. So 100% God and 100% human. But some people that Jesus Christ is just a God, but he's not a human like this. And then they have different idea from the maybe surrounding academia or surrounding philosophy, whatever, and then they develop the kind of idea and then challenge Christianity. So, but the apostolic fathers really focus on the kind of doctrine, Christian doctrine, like incarnation and Jesus Christ deities. But at the time, another thing is that look at so how Christian gonna be Christian gonna be justified. The Pauline doctrine of justification is what? By grace alone, through faith alone. Grace alone by faith, right? And then the apostolic fathers they don't emphasize on that part only, but still, the faith alone is we can save by the faith alone, and we can justify by grace alone through faith. That is kind of stuff is kind of absent, right? Maybe it's very natural, but sometimes maybe they don't have any challenge about that one, but still they don't talk about that stuff. There is a basic understanding of apostolic fathers work, but let's go into one by one. So who was very influential? So there people are really kind of a representative of the apostolic fathers. First of all, the Clement of Rome. He lived, died around 98. It's not exactly around there. So he was consecrated by the Apostle Peter, and so he was known to having been leading member of the church in Rome in the late first centuries. So that's why we usually name is first, and then depends on where it's born and where it's live actively and influence, and then that's why we put the country or region name. So Clement of Rome, and then he consecrated by the Peter, and he is a kind of leading member of the church in Rome. So at that time, so Rome is really, the church was really growing and bigger, right? But Clement only kind of a genuine accent to writing his letter to the church of the Corinth. He doesn't write a lot of stuff, but still there is the person, the church of Corinth, that is a really famous one, and then it is the response responded to the dispute in which certain presbyters of the Corinthian churches has been disposed. So something was going on in Corinthian churches, and then Clement gave them some recommendation. He wrote a letter, right? And so he really recommended to maintain the harmony and order. That is the main kind of content of his letter. So he asserted the authority of the presbyter as a ruler of the church on the ground that the apostles had appointed such. Presbyters, kind of elders. Nowadays we call the elders, and they appointed by the apostles. That's why they have a leadership role at church. That's why we have to respect, and you have to follow and give them leadership like that, right? Authority of the presbyters. And another his letter, so which is one of the all these extant Christian document outside the New Testament, but at that time it's around this popular, it had really popularity, and then a lot of people are reading. So, but later on, with the other letters, and then become a part of the Christian canon, that's part of the canon means that it was they take it as as it has authority, right? So even though like Bible, one of the Bible, and then one of the letters in the Bible, there is another process to which one is really there's apostolic influence, and then there's another the criteria when they have a canon of the Bible. So maybe the Church of the Corinth is not. He's the apostolic father, but it's not he is not the apostolic. That's why his letter is not in the Bible. Another apostolic father is Ignatius of Antioch, and he's Rome. So already think about where is Rome. Can you picture it? Where is Rome? Rome is all this Israel is here, and Mediterranean all the way, and you can see the Greece and Rome, right? And what about the Antioch is do you know Israel is here, and Antioch is above the east, Syria like this, and there is a different area. So Ignatius is he was in Antioch, was the Bishop of Antioch. So he made known to the apostles of John directly. A lot of people said he discipled by the Apostle John. So his thought and certainly influenced by the tradition associated with the Apostle John, right? That's why he is one of the disciples of Apostle John. Yeah, so Ignatius and Polycarp, his friend, and he is a disciple of the Apostle John's disciples, right? And that's a tradition said that mean that there is no any document, and if you study early period and then like a philosophy, even though the other philosophers mentioned about their names, what they said, but their original work is kind of gone. The works were not preserved. That's why when they collected a lot of information, the philosophy like pre-Socratic and other philosophers who were influential at the time, but it's not like a Socratic and Plato and Aristotle, because they don't have a lot of writings preserved. That's why you follow the tradition, and tradition maybe oral tradition, maybe, Yeah, another, his name is he was known as Ignatius Theophorus. Theophorus, and then, so Ignatius of Antioch is the same as Ignatius of Theophorus, right? And his letter served as an example of early Christian theology, and especially ecclesiology, like talk about the church and sacrament is a baptism and communion, like Eucharist and communion like stuff. And then what about the role of the bishops as a leader who leads the church? What is the role of the bishops? And then what is the nature of the biblical Sabbath, right? And usually Sabbath is a Saturday, but they change it to on Sunday. That's why they keep the Sabbath on Sunday. Some people still keep the Sabbath on the Saturday, but some people change on Sunday because Jesus Christ rose again on Sunday morning. That's why commemorate Jesus Christ's resurrection, and then change worship on Sunday. And that's really, it means that his writings were really influential at the time, right? And he clearly identifies the local church hierarchy. And when any organization in the beginning, not that much the kind of a hierarchy, and they kind of roles are separated, and they are as time goes by and institutionalized and established, and there's kind of there's need of order, right? And so it's a church is saying they need kind of develop the hierarchy at church, a local church, like a bishop and presbyters and deacons and like this. And nowadays, I don't know. I go to evangelical preachers and the denomination. Our church doesn't have much deacons, like presbyter, and but we have elders. Presbyters, elders. bishop is a kind of pastors, and if you go to Methodist, if you go to Baptist, and they have a different political ruling system, right? That's why they divide. Oh, this is a Presbyterian church. This is a Baptist church. Little bit different. So when I grew up, I never heard about the bishop at church. Usually we say pastors, and we don't call the priest for the Catholic, right? Pastors, reverend, and there's one of a word, but still, if you see the other churches and Orthodox, and they have bishop, right? It's a different title of the position. So there is kind of a bishop and presbyters and deacons. If you go to Baptist church, there is no deacons. But if you go to Presbyterian church, especially in Korean church, they have a whole system like pastors, elders, and deacons. And deacons are two kind of deacons, and then what is the congregation and saint like this. But the kind of a hierarchy at the local churches to have spoken in some of the churches through the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. That's why they started kind of establishing the Christianity and develop some ruling system and political system to rule over the church. Later in his life, Ignatius was chosen to serve as a bishop of Antioch. And like a 4th century Christian historian Eusebius write that Ignatius succeed evidence. So later on, that's why we call Ignatius of Antioch, right? So not much information about him, but that's the his basic idea about what he's done. But here is another Theodoret of the Cyprus claimed that Saint Peter himself left the direction, and Ignatius be appointed to the episcopal see of the Antioch. So that is another okay. Peter said, "You guys stay here. You take you oversee the people like this, right?" And Ignatius was apparently really really kind of oppose counteract to the teaching of two groups. One is Judaism, another one is Docetists. Judaizers and Judaism is kind of, they don't accept Christianity. They don't acknowledge the New Testament, but still based on the Old Testament, and they still waiting for the Messiah. But the Christians, based on the New Testament, we believe that Jesus Christ is the Messiah. But Judaism is they don't believe. Judaizers, they don't believe Jesus Christ is the Messiah, right? That's the difference, and that is kind of tension is there. And when the Judaism see the Christianity, and there is one of the kind of a sect from the Judaism. But another one is a Docetists who held Christ's suffering and death as apparently not real. What is just think about it, and Docetism is it's a doctrine that Christ's body is not human, but Christ's body is a celestial substance, So his suffering is not real, right? He doesn't have human bodies. So they said, Jesus, historical bodily existence and of all human form of Jesus Christ was just a semblance without any true reality. So just think about Docetism, and they don't acknowledge that Jesus Christ is only God, but they don't acknowledge that Jesus Christ is not a human being. That's why, do you remember in the beginning, one of the work of the apostolic fathers, they emphasize incarnations. What is incarnation? God, Jesus Christ, become a human being, right? That's based on the John chapter 1, and that's a really, really important concept in Christianity. Yeah, that's a group of people though. Yeah, so they don't. Actually, I'm gonna give you a little bit more information about Docetism. Dokitai, illusionist. Sorry, illusionist. And so early group who denied Jesus Christ's humanity, right? Dokitai, and first occurred in the letter of the bishop. Letter by Bishop Serapion of Antioch. He studied Serapion Antioch, and who has discovered the doctrine of the Gospel of Peter, and during the pastoral visit to a Christian community using in Rosas, and then later condemned it as a forgery. But okay, this is from the Peter's document. Peter said it, and then later on, it was came out forgery. So later on, this Docetism is like 325. It's kind of rejected at First Council in Nicene. Nicene, right? And so usually most Christian churches like the Catholic, Eastern Orthodox and Church, and Coptic Church, and Armenian Apostolic Church, Orthodox, and they they rejected the Docetism, right? And they are wrong. They had the wrong concept of Jesus Christ. That's one of the challenge, but it's a really kind of Docetism is kind of influenced by Gnosticism, and we can see what is a Gnosticism, and then they divide kind of hierarchy of the whole metaphysics world, and being, and kind of a semi-divine is being is there, semi-divine is there, and human being in natural world. And just think about how can you explain semi-beings kind of logos here, and then become a human being. And it's hard to explain that one, but they wanna kind of follow this concept of the metaphysics, and then still kind of universal order, universal, and then but they really kind of rejected what Bible said. That's the one of the work of the Ignatius, right? He really stressed the value of the Eucharist, right? Eucharist communion. Communion is really important. Just to remember, I don't know whether you guys go to church. Some church every week, and some church once a week, every month, and other really some churches twice a year, like Christmas, and then and was Easter, and depends on the church nowadays. Depends on the church, and then try to remember what Jesus Christ has done, and then the Last Supper, and Jesus Christ break the bread and give them, this is my body, and kind of give them kind of wine and cup of wine, and then they should remember this is my blood, and that means that die on the cross and to forgive your sins, and then just remember what Jesus Christ have done for us, and he physical bodies died and shed the blood to complete God's plan, right? That's why the Eucharist and the communion is very important. Maybe I don't know whether you guys take a theology class, and then there's a different point of view about communion. Like a Protestant and Lutheran and Catholic has a different point of view. But still, think about what is it, even though we cannot see the Jesus Christ, but remember what he has done. That's very good. And he regarded the salvation as one, being free from the powerful fear of the death. And so basically, that is, at the time, just think about, he is around, it's 107, and then, Christians are really persecuted by the Roman emperors, because they don't worship the Roman God, and then they are really against Roman emperor, because they kind of misunderstand about Christians, and they have their own king, Jesus Christ. But they kind of misunderstanding about when the Christians serve a king, it's not an earthly king like them, but they kind of misunderstand and try, and they don't serve the Roman God, and sometimes the emperor wants to be a God, but they don't acknowledge it, and then that's why, and sometimes kind of a trap, and kind of blame, like a Nero kind of blame for fire in Rome city, and then Christian blame Christian for the fire in Rome city, and then persecuting a lot of Christians. That's why he said that salvation is Rome being free from the powerful fear. Just think about how a lot of early Christians have died because of the persecution of the Roman emperors. Thrown into the they are burned, they are torn, and they throw into the wild animals. It's a really cruel. It's cruel. That's why he said, if you have salvation, you cannot see right now, but we're gonna go, and conviction of salvation, and it's being free from the powerful death. It's really scary, right? So we need to take the water bravely. So he emphasized the loyalty to single bishop in a city, who is associated by both presbyters and deacons. That is a kind of they need kind of a church orders. He really churches need orders, and really emphasize. A lot of people kind of follow this man, this bishop, and there's a lot of confusion out there, like nowadays. And that's why he really emphasized loyalty to one serving God in one church with one bishop, single bishops, right? Yeah, he really desired to become a martyr. He's also linked with the understanding of union with Christ. Just think about his desire to be martyr. He always think about the suffering like Jesus Christ, and that is one of the way that experience Jesus Christ's suffering and unite with Jesus Christ. So that's his passion, right? And he willing to take as a martyr, right? It's not easy. Just think about it. Nowadays in Christianity, we really try to see that the comfort zone. We try to create our culture. We try to create our own culture at church. We want to be unique and try to reach out to the world in different ways. But sometimes we wanna have the Christendom. So we wanna have a political power to protect ourselves. And like this, and then that's nowadays. And because of they are Christian and they don't do anything, there's a lot of things going on. This is discrimination and this one and this one, and sometimes it's hard to kind of fight back, but still, just think about it at the time. Even though we don't die physically like from others and by others, but if you go to other countries, still they are dying because of their faith, right? Depends on what they believe and their family religions. So I don't know whether you guys have that's why, it's hard to do that. Oh, I want to be a martyr. I want to be a martyr. I want to join the martyrdom. It's not easy, but think about his passion. Yeah, and he's by the tradition, and then he martyred. He martyred, and kind of confusing. But he martyred. On the way to the Rome. A lot of people they kind of torn away, kind of sometimes burned, like a Polycarp is kind of burned, and some on the way they got killed, and like a Clement on the way to Rome and they got killed, and then Ignatius, he died, he became a martyr, but Polycarp is kind of he burned by fires, with the fires. And another apostolic fathers, there's a really famous apostolic fathers, and Clement and Ignatius and Polycarp. They are kind of representative of the apostolic fathers. And he around 69 to 155, and he died a martyr, bound and burned at the stake, and stabbed when the fire failed to consume his body. It's really cruel. It's really cruel. And both Ignatius and Tertullian said Polycarp had been a disciple of John, the Apostle Paul is one of Jesus' disciples, and then And Ignatius and Polycarp is a kind of friend, and because of they are discipled by the Apostle John, right? Yeah, so the martyrdom is considered one of the earliest genuine account of Christian martyrdom. Yeah. And he said like that, look at this, and how then can I blaspheme my King and Savior? You threaten me with the fire then burned for a season, and after a little while, it's quenched, but you are ignorant of the fire of the everlasting punishment that is prepared for the wicked. He has a basic kind of theology, and then he will take it. And he was born, like this, and then, I already told you, he was burned at the stake and pierced with the spear for refusing to burn, incense to the Roman emperor. Okay. At that time, I don't know, the Roman emperor tried themselves like a god, worshipped by it, right? And that's why. So on his farewell, he said, "I bless you, Father, for judging me worthy of this hour, so that in my company of martyr, I may share the cup of Christ." That is the basic, early apostolic fathers. They're willing to take it. They called the most admirable Polycarp one of this elect, and he whose time among us, and he shows himself apostolic and prophetic teacher and bishop at the Catholic Church in Samara. He was really kind of he was influential around the area for Christianity. So Polycarp, look at this one of the examples that he cited Ephesians 2:8. Said salvation is by grace rather than works. Though later exhort his readers to do good works. And there's a big kind of doctrine for Christian Protestant, and still Catholic is different from Protestant, and Protestant kind of against the Catholic Church about how the theology of the doctrine of salvation. And Catholic Church and believe faith and works. We're going to do work of works. But Protestant Church is what? We are saved by faith, based on law, not by work, based on the Ephesians 2:8 and 9, 10, right? But so we shouldn't be misunderstanding of a life of a Christian life. Otherwise, the assurance of salvation to be saved is in the beginning of the life, new life. And then, how can you live life as a follower of Jesus Christ? After that, you gotta show the good works. It's not a condition of salvation, but it's a condition of the life of followed the life of Jesus Christ's disciples. So don't confuse that. Don't confuse that. Some people are really confused that, oh, I have a guarantee. If I die, I'm going to heaven. That's all. And okay, I'm going to live my own life or whatever I want. That's a wrong concept. If you truly confess that Jesus Christ is my Lord, you cannot live that way. Following Jesus Christ is not just that's by faith. But how can you show that I'm follower of Jesus Christ? Live, obey His word. Obey His word is what? Show the good work. If you follow God's word, then naturally you're going to be a really good guy, good man, good woman, right? And he really, he said that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and then eternal high priest, and to him all heavenly and earthly things were subjected, as the Paul said it, whom every breath worships, and who comes as a judge of the living and the dead, and he's gonna come back. And that's the his understanding of Jesus Christ, and then he really highlights the sinlessness of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is a human being, 100% human being, 100% God, but still he doesn't have any sin. Sinless. Yeah, he defended the doctrine of incarnation. Jesus Christ is God. And what? Become a human being and live earthly life like us. And Jesus Christ, death of Jesus Christ on the cross, and then he died on the cross. And then clearly, this means what? Jesus Christ is we can say that's a human part of Jesus Christ. And that's why there is a kind of against opposed Docetism. I just think about it. The basic doctrine that they believed at the time is a lot of things are the same as right now, right? Sometimes depends on the denomination. Maybe a little bit different, but still. But all Christians believe that Jesus Christ, the Lord, Savior, Messiah. That is the basic things that uncompromise with others. So maybe information of the resurrection of the dead, of Christ's second coming as a judge, and that's a basic concept of the Christian kind of worldview, right? Christian worldview and doctrines. And there is kind of we don't know who exact name, but there is the author of the Shepherd of Hermas, and like we don't have Clement, Ignatius, and Polycarp, but still there is, and called the Shepherd of Hermas. The Shepherd of Hermas is documented, attributed to Hermas. It's not Hamas is not a terrorist group in Palestine. Hamas is a Roman. He, according to the tradition, he was a slave, but he is a freed man. So he is a freed man who flourished during the first half century, the second century. And Thomas was the author as well as the authorship by one or more writer has been topic of debate. So still, yeah, here is some of the history about what happened. And from the writing, we learned that Thomas was the former slave of his master, Rhoda, and that he has suffered some setback in business venture because due to part of the sin of his family. So shepherd of the and the title shepherd of the title refers to the angelic figures, and then maybe angel visited him and kind of tell him, and then what he kind of repent and came back. So angel of the repentance and who appeared part way through the work to reveal divine teaching. So that's kind of dangerous things, but he said angel visit me and teaching about God and teaching about like this. That's why studied. And his writing centers a lot on the ethical teachings. It's really focused on the ethical teachings and instruction concerning communal values, and just but this one is a kind of need of the Roman Christian followers to renew and increase their commitment to religious ideals. That is one of the purpose of his letters. So especially the identity as a Christian is that we will distinguish from the society around it. So think about Roman society. Their identity is really important. If you're Romans and then you have great privilege wherever you go. If you go to, you cannot join the army if you are not a citizen, like this. A lot of benefits. That's why a lot of people buy the citizenship with the money. They want to become Romans. And when, if you read the New Acts, and Paul was the Roman soldiers figured it out that Paul was the Roman. Paul had Roman citizen. They were really afraid of what they did on Apostle Paul. That's why it's really powerful. So there is a really and just think about it and how can we live a life? It's not a Roman but still and follow Jesus Christ and renew and increase their commitment to the religious ideal, not their social ideal. Just think about it nowadays, and a lot of people are different point of view in politics and religion, right? And some people really hate conservative Christians because they have different political agendas, right? That's like that, and nowadays even though whether who has power in politics and was it Democratic or Republican, it doesn't matter. But sometimes if you see the kind of who has the kind of power in politics, and then whole kind of response is really, the reactions are really different though. I don't know, sometimes we talk about nowadays, a couple years ago, when we do the voting and then a lot of things was going on, but even though nothing much changing, never talk about what they have done, right? Their concern is not anymore, but not much change now. It's the same. Yeah. The shepherd were Homers, right? And the shepherd was one of the most widely reading writings in the early churches. Numerous others like Tertullian, Origen, and Augustine, Jerome, and Athanasius, and they cited, cited even if they do not regard it as a canonical. Canonical means that it's like there is no authoritative apostles. But still, it's really popular, right? And its popularity also attested by numerous description of the saints and Christian iconographies. So it's really powerful, But it's not from the apostles, and then maybe they don't meet another criteria of the canon. So that's why it's not in the Bible. Another thing is that the writer of the D-Dake and D-Dake, and then also the writer of the D-Dake, and then called the teaching of the 12 apostles, and there is all these surviving Christian church orders, and probably written in Egypt or Syria in 2nd centuries. Well, we don't know. But this one is about dealing with some morals and ethics. And maybe you can think about the Christians and under the Roman government and the regime, and then look at the Romans' kind of ethics at that time. And there's a lot of maybe for Christians and Roman Christians, and there's a lot of temptation when they see the society, right? Maybe that's why the moral ethics, teachings, and maybe give them kind of set the criteria of the follow Jesus Christ, and then another one is that you gotta be careful from them, and you are different. You are not belonged. You are not. Previous like this, and then from us you are not belong. Your identity is not here, right? And that's the didactic, and then really dealing with the morals, ethics, and church practice, what they're supposed to do. And then the eschatological hope of a Christian second coming at the end of time, in that a lot of persecution. But Jesus Christ coming back, we're going to revive. That give them hope. And the general program for the instruction and initiation into the primitive churches. So in the beginning of the churches, right? And that is a basic content in the didache. So didache is not a unified and coherent work. It's not a one author and from the beginning right all the way, but it's kind of compilation of a regulation, here is about put together, right? That had acquired force of the law by using skeletal Christian communities. And it's a lot of, there's a community, here and there in Christians are scattered, but even though, they established their faith, but still a lot of challenge from the society, especially from Rome and Judaism, and that's why, and it kind of gives them a guide to, they even though they live different reasons, but kind of give them a guidebook for Christian churches. So you're gonna know that this is not just one book and with the coherence, and then just to kind of a compilation of the other resources. And here is, and the document is a compiled work and the discovery of the Dead Sea Scroll with its manual of discipline, has a provide evidence of development over the considerable period of time, right? Just think of beginning as a Jewish catechetical work, which was then developed into a church manual. So it means that as a Jewish, and just give them basic instruction of what to do, right? But eventually they developed into a church manual. And just think about it. Maybe I don't know exactly. I don't see a lot of stuff, and then basically just it was a Jewish catechetical work, and then teach about the basic religion, and then basic philosophy and how to live, all kind of stuff, right? And then maybe they will revise and kind of take over it and however whatsoever, but they use it in church manual. Here is a specific, there is a 12 chapters, 16 chapters, and here is a kind of a basic topics that each chapter is dealing. Chapter 1 to 6 gives what? Ethical instruction concerning about two ways of life and death. Which life leads to life, and which life leads to death. And reflecting early Christian adoption of the Jewish pattern of teaching in order to prepare catacombs and and catacombs, and then there is if you want to get baptized, and not just soaking the water, but maybe there is kind of basic instruction and what it means, what to do, why we do, and at church too. If you want to get baptized, and then there is kind of instructions there, and maybe you have depends on the church, and you want to learn what it means, what and kind of thing. You need to get. If you don't agree with that, then you're not going to get baptized, and, right? Kind of stuff. So 1 to 6 is basically, and they really focus on the ethical instruction. And chapter 7 to 15, it discusses baptism and fasting and prayer and Eucharist and communion, and how to receive and test the traveling apostles. If you want to be traveling apostles and then prophets, and how they can have kind of acknowledged by communities, and the appointment of the bishops and deacons. how can you upon there is basic rules, guidance. What about the chapter 16 and considers the signs of the Jesus Christ's second coming? There is a basic, just to think about and how you shall live as a disciple of Jesus Christ, and then 1 to 6, and then chapter and as a community like a church, how can you practice and personally, how can shows kind of a help this help and develop the spirituality as a person, as a communities. So this book is reveals more about how Jewish Christians saw themselves and how they adopted the Judaism for Gentiles than any other book like Christian scriptures. And basically, look at this, and there's a beginning Jewish hierarchical and work, and then it's a lot of basic kind of understanding catechism of Judaism, right? And they become a Christian, it will be called Jewish Christian. And nowadays we Messianic Christian. They are Jewish but Christians. And this one shows the basic identity about them and how they adopted their Judaism for Gentiles than the other books, right? There is one of the issue at the time, and then just think about always there's a trouble in Jewish Christians, and Gentile Christians. They always impose some Jewish Christians on Gentiles like circumcisions. Don't need the kind of food of the food kind of offered to idols like this, right? And don't need the blood like this. And just think about for the Gentiles, they don't have any idea about them. And Paul teach them what? Justify the faith, even though you are a Gentiles. So I'm reading nowadays. I'm reading the Galatians. It's about this one. They just in the beginning they followed Paul's teaching. So they believe that Jesus Christ died under their sins, and by their faith, by faith they are justified and they are saved. But Jewish Christians, it's not enough. You gotta do this, so you keep this one, they are kind of sometimes ritual stuff, and then dietary stuff, and all kind of stuff, and impose the Gentiles, and then Gentiles doesn't know, and if they don't have a strong foundation of faith, and then they just follow. And this one, we gotta follow this one, and we gotta follow this one. That's about Galatians. If you have time, just try to read. There is apostolic fathers, right? And we don't see many philosophical issues on their life, but try to keep their faith, and then they try to practice their faith, right? And mostly it's really focused on the ethics, and then they try to encourage them to be brave on standing on their faith, because the persecution coming on to them, right? And later on, next generation, and then maybe more stuff is coming to the Christian community, and then they try to defend their faith. We call apologists. Yeah, apologists, and then they are trying to defend the Christian faith. Some of them use the Greek philosophies, and then some of them use the Bible, and then their position is a little bit different, right? Sometimes they follow the philosophical terms and kind of vague and obscure sometimes like this, and then but some of them which really use the Bible and then kind of oppose what the philosophical trend, what the other teachings. There is Quadratus of Athens, and then Aristides in Athens, and Justin Martyr, and Tatian the Syrian, and Athenagorius of Athens, and then Theophilus of Antioch, and Melito of Sardis. There is a people of the kind of apologists, but I'm not gonna say all of them. And today we're gonna see what they oppose. What's a popular philosophical trend and kind of influence on the another religion, what is forming other stuff, and then influence on Christians. So usually the apologists, and then just think about they are dealing with the Jews. Who are the Jews? They don't acknowledge the New Testament. They don't acknowledge Jesus Christ. They oppose Jesus Christ because they believe that Jesus Christ is his claim to be a God was blasphemous, right? That's why priests, scribes, and Pharisees and killed and handed Jesus Christ over to Roman Pilate, Roman governors. So the apologists sought to prove from the scripture that Jesus Christ is Messiah to the Jews. But he became a human being, dwelt in the flesh. That is another their work. Yeah, that's a work. And then, what about the Roman persecutions? That's the Jewish. What about the Romans, emperors? They say that Christians have their own. Christians they have their own king, and they have practiced weird thing, and they drink blood, and right. Yeah, kind of in their eyes, they don't from the communion, and their kind of misconceptions came on the Christians. So the apologists and then Christians they proceeded them, and Jesus' kingdom was not of this world, and then they tried to say this one, what Romans misunderstand. Misunderstood. The Christian had to refute the popular charges that they engage in cannibalism, they eat the blood, and they eat the bodies of Jesus Christ. Right? That's why cannibalism and incest and they said kind of holy kiss. And blood among brothers and sisters, agree with the holy kiss. Depends on the culture, but sometimes misunderstandings kind of turn to gossip and spread quickly, and really, really bad influence on people. So we don't, in my culture, don't do that. Usually we don't, kiss, kind of cheek to cheek, left arm left, and we go down to Mexico, and then they kind of kiss, kind of touch with the cheek and to other, and they greet, right? And that's the, but it's hard, it's hard to see the kind of other usually they do may just kind of shaking. It's not maybe sometimes hug, but they don't do holy kiss, like this. But usually, women usually they do, and they say cheek to cheek and side to the other side, and then they greet one another. That is a kind of misunderstanding. What about another things that the apologists did dealing with is the Greek philosophers? They said that Greek philosophers, what's the best thing to know the truth? Reason, right? Reason is a really important thing. So, the Greek philosophers and reason is sacred, intellectual autonomy were the new ultimate word. The apologists often discuss Greek philosophy, especially Platonism, but they rarely involve antithesis. Antithesis means that kind of there's a religion is sacred, and then it's not right, and then they have something so that this is a thesis, right? Oh, maybe I don't agree with that one. Antithesis is kind of against that one. It's not why. And there's an antithesis, and then later on, kind of there's another level. This is the dialectics, Hegel's dialectics. Another level is what? Another level is the synthesis, and then maybe the antithesis is a little bit developed to new things and form the new things. That's dialectic. So that they rarely involve the antithesis, maybe not against totally different things. But in the apologetics writing, there are little warning about the wisdom of the world, but spiritual warfare of the Colossians 2:8. So usually they little bit not kind of little bit twist a lot of things, kind of against the eye to eye or tooth to tooth. It's not that kind of argument, but they use the Bible. So apologists seek to among the ground with the philosophy to where the philosophers mentors to seek the intellectual respectability as defined by the philosophical communities. That's their approach. It's not a kind of, that's why there is no involved antithesis. So their main job is to kind of defend their faith from the Jews and Romans, persecution, Roman government, and the Greek philosophers. Okay, I don't know how much you guys remember about Platonism and Aristotle's big figure in Greek philosophy, ancient philosophies, and then here is kind of understanding of the plot, theory of the form. What is a form? Do you remember? So something is kind of we cannot see exactly, but something is there, right? It's not from the material stuff, but already something is there. It's kind of an ideal. And look at this, and Plato is like this. There is and here's a easy to understand, and then there is a lot of particular, you can see the people and horses, different kind of horses types and physical world, and you can see the lot of things and physical world, and then extended and transient and it's temporary and then mutable, imperfect, and yeah, you cannot trust this one. But if you see the particular all things, and then wow, there is kind of a form is there. After this one, and maybe this kind of low form is the higher form is there, and then low form is you are not sure yet. But there is when you see the horse, but like a horse, yeah, you got a kind of image of a horse, but it's not a clear idea. And there is, and then if you see, and then finally you can see that the higher form, that is a form is beauty, called beauty, good. There is a form is the good, the beauty, and physical is kind of non-physical, you cannot see it. And non-extended, eternal, immutable, perfect, like this. So here is another purpose of beauty is all the way highest form, is good, right? Called beauty. And then just think about, and the form of beauty was dealing with the beauty is concept of beauty is kind of it's a low form, is a concept of beauty from each maybe picture frame, or you can from the picture frame individual particulars and get a form and form another level of the form. That's a physical world, individual. That's why Plato divided the world like this. And Aristotle is a little bit different. Aristotle is a world, form and matter, and then he said that it's not a kind of hierarchical, and then he's empirical, and then look at this, there is a matter is here, there is a form is here, and then kind of a shared part, there's things. A little bit different, there's no hierarchical level, but Plato understands it in hierarchy, right? And so Plotinus around 2 centuries, 1 and 2 centuries, and then he formed what? Neo-Platonism, right? Little bit, he kind of started, he bring another understanding of the Platonism. So that's why we call it Neo-Platonism. And here is, he said, there is one is here, highest one, right? Invisible, unified, and transcendent. There is a highest one is there, and then the other one is emanate from him, emanate, and then intellectual, kind of Plato forms. It's not the highest form. It's not a highest form. There's an intellectual is here, and then intellectual kind of emanate in the worldly soul. Worldly soul is a kind of matter and individual souls, and this is a sense of a world. That is a basic understanding of the world, right? So you can go to the worldly individual soul and matter, sense of the soul is kind of a path of knowledge, was the intellect, and go to all the world have the knowledge of the world. And to get to have the right knowledge is region is really important. Region, right? That's the basic Platonism. And based on this one, and there's a kind of Plotinus kind of reformed the Plato, the Plato's philosophy, and then there's a heresy of Gnosticism. Gnosticism is kind of Gnostics get the idea from the what? The Plato, the Plotinus, and Neo-Platonism. And according to the Gnosis, it's really influential at the time. So we gotta little bit. I'm gonna have this one, and wrap up the one more stuff, and then here is really heresy that kind of influence other sects and other people, and they believe that the kind of there is a higher forms and middle, and that he is the one, being is there in the kind of little bit twisted beings and intellect and then worldly, right? There is a scale of being. At the top of is a supreme being, nameless. Supreme, there's a he called being. They don't use the name. And sometimes given name is kind of such as Bibles. Bibles, Beatles, and Bibles. There's a name is there. They give them. And connected to the material world by semi-divine intermediaries. And emanate this one. But that channel, perfect, but this is a semi-divine, like Logos, Joes, and Pneuma, and Psyche. Right? There is a specific name is there. And then kind of this one emanate, and the whole occurs when the least of this being mistakenly create the material world, this being. So human beings are tapped in the world, kind of emanate by their world, right? And also, must be reabsorbed into the nameless supreme being by various intellectual and moral discipline taught by the Gnostic teachers. Do you remember that? They can go all the way back to knowledge of the being, and they can go to intellect. So that's why there's a way, there's a human being like this, and then you're gonna go be a divine like this, and like a supreme being. That is the way that is a secret knowledge. And this is a secret knowledge connected by the Gnostic. And despite it is a parallel between Neo-Platonism and Gnosticism, Plotinus opposed. Anyway, Plotinus kind of opposed Gnosticism. That is a basic idea of Gnosticism. There is a hierarchy of the knowledge. And then we cannot be like a super being and semi-divine because a human being. But there is a way we can be like that, right? So, Gnosticism might be the source of the still other form of the heresy in the early churches. And there is a Docetism. That one is a kind of, so Jesus no material body, seemed, right? I already told you, Docetism, right? And they don't acknowledge that Jesus Christ has a kind of human body. Jesus' body was a celestial, heavenly, celestial. So yeah, basic idea about the gnostic aversion to the material world. So just think about material world is not perfect. How Jesus Christ can be? He's from God. He is God. How can we parallel the human being? Right? That's why the Docetism is denied the Jesus Christ human bodies. Here is another guy who kind of influential at the early churches period, and the already Marcion. He still seems like influenced by the Gnosticism, and in Gnosticism, typically there's the lowest of the aeons, like made the cosmetic mistake creating a material world. The world, the being and intellect and world being like a picture, and then this world soul, and then create the and that's why they say that the Martionists, and then they kind of reject the concept of God in Old Testament. Just think about who sent Jesus Christ is a good God, right? And he cannot be, the God that they believe in cannot be like a wicked and bad God who kind of created worldly world. And Martian identified this in kind of the lowest kind of the aeons with created God of Genesis. And it means that good God cannot be like worldly happens. That's why they separate. They separate, and they denied Jesus Christ. The Old Testament, the concept of God in Old Testament, who killed people, who is jealousy, right? Who is angry. They all come characteristic from the low level eon. The old is the eons, and then they can make that kind of stuff. It's not the superior and being cannot be like that. Who sent Jesus Christ? That's my Marcionist, and then they deny the Old Testament gospel. That is a kind of it's really one of the heresy that popular at the time. So, but look at the Docetism and Marcionism influenced by the Gnosticism. Gnosticism influenced by the what? Platonism. It's really important to understand the Gnosticism, right? And maybe if you read our book, and there is a specific kind of description about how they, I give us a really basic description, and then you consider the more detail. John gave you a little bit detailed description about the Gnosticism. Okay, so we can see the kind of background, set the background of what was going on in the early churches, and then from next week, we're gonna see specific thinkers kind of defense and how they use the philosophies and how they use the Bibles, and who are the biblical point of view, who doesn't have a biblical point of view, even though they defend their faith, right? And that's the next week work. So, maybe we can start off with just the model. So next week, so we can do the specific respond to the philosophies and criticism, right? So maybe if you are interested in about the background of the early churches like Gnosticism, and try to Google it, and then maybe there's a specific more descriptions there. Maybe if you understand the plagiarism and then neo-plagiarism, and then Gnosticism is kind of adopted in their way, not exactly. Right? Understanding a little bit different way, and they formed their own things. That's why I said in the beginning, some are really smart, and then kind of adopted the idea, and then developed their own things that really influence others, even though it's not a truth. Okay, so you guys, and maybe from next week, try to. I'm gonna bring up the philosophy that we learned whenever the early Christian thinkers kind of dealing with. So maybe not the problem with why the problem, and then try to bring out my best and then help you understand. So if you have any questions, let's talk and let's work together. Okay, you guys have a great week, and now it's a great graduation season. So I hope that your kind of your goals and your next step of life is kind of blessed by God. Have a nice day.